Semua like. Wala na. Kasi football terbaik.
Okay, a very good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
So everyone is able to hear me properly? Yes? Let me do a few checks and then we start the today's session. Yes, Anushka, Jitnyasa, I could hear Preeti. Yes? Preeti, am I audible to you?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, Jitnyasa, Anushka, Jitnyasa is also there, Anushka is also there, right? So guys, today's session is very, very important because in our last session we had completed our theoretical part of ethics, integrity, and aptitude. When
Yes, sir.
yes, and when we uh, talk about the section B of the paper, section B consists of the application part of the section A, right? So whatever theories that we have learned and studied in the first part, whether it is ethics, it is values, or it is work culture, everything is applicable in the second part, right? So we will and I'll be very, very objective while I deal with this, right? Now objective means I'll be to the point to make you understand where to catch hold of the neck of the case studies and then how to write the answers effectively and efficiently, right? So
Yes.
guys, there are a few factors that you must take into consideration before writing a good answer on a case study. First of all, you must understand the demand of the question. This is number one, right? Number two is once you understand the case study. Now, this is not what I'm explaining. The PPTs or the slide that you are seeing currently, I'm not explaining this. I'm explaining your general um, uh, detail about how to write a good case studies answer, right? So, first of all, once you have understood the question properly, then only you will be able to answer it correctly. Otherwise, it would be a huge problem for you. Don't beat around the bush. Whenever you are writing the answers, be to the point. This is this is the
Yes, sir.
this is the third thing, right? Fourth thing, there has to be a cohesion, right? There must be cohesion. There should be some thought process that should be involved. Now, let's say if there are certain case studies which wants you to ponder upon a topic and find out all the decision making options in your decision making premises, then think of all those options and write those down. And which would be the best suited option to be implemented in the current case study? You give that answer in the last, right?
Yes.
Right, getting this idea. So I'll explain
Yes.
all
Yes.
these terms with the help of examples. On your drive,
Yes.
I have updated the case studies section in your ethics, integrity, aptitude folder itself, wherein 5 case studies have been uploaded now. So over a period of time, I may give you much more. I mean, I am expecting to give you somewhere around 50, 55 case studies, and I suppose that should suffice your preparation, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So guys, in the last 2 years, we have been seeing that the nature of questions are um, of mixed type. Now, if you see here, I have, if you could see, right, I am highlighting this, the nature of questions. Are you able to see that?
Yes, sir.
Right? So the nature of questions which since last 2 years which are being asked, these are first of all on the basis of decision making. So these are decision making based on certain situations, especially when you are a civil servant, right? So they would not ask you questions when you are a normal human being. What would you do, right? So most of the questions they may ask you that those kinds of questions, but most of the questions would be especially considering you as a civil servant, right? This is
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
this is the first type of a question, first nature of a question. The second nature of the question is giving reactions to a situation. Now, there would be a situation which would be given to you, and on the basis of that, what would be your thought process and your reaction to those situations would be the second type of second nature of the question. Understand that. I'll make you write all these because today, as I've already asked the admin to update you, that you will be required to write a few things today because ethics is all about writing, right? Okay. So third type of or third nature of question would be harassment of women's workplace. So these are the general questions that are being seen in our previous year question papers, that the harassment questions are being asked and your actions over such kind of cases and the harassments were also asked to the students. Fourth is corruption, bribe, and ethical dilemmas. Let's say you are working in an organization and you blow the whistle of a corrupt activity happening in your organization, and your senior says you have heard nothing, you would say nothing, and you have seen nothing. You should stay quiet. This is what your senior says. So this is an ethical dilemma, right? This is an
Yes.
ethical dilemma. You know that the stuff that are happening, these are incorrect. Am I audible, guys?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so
Yes,
you
sir.
know that the stuffs happening at the organization or at the department are unethical, but still your senior wants you to stay quiet. You first of all do not want to lose your job, right? You still want to continue your job. If you blow the
Yes.
whistle, there can be threats, right? If the cover is blown, then you have threats. How could that be managed, right? How efficiently you can make the department work efficiently? All such kind of dilemma issues would also be the nature of the question. So that's the fourth nature of the question. Fifth category would be transparency, would be related to transparency. Let's say there can be question. I have included that into your one of the case studies. I'll give you example here itself. That you and there is some other guy or some other colleague of yours or some other friend of yours who have graduated at the same time, but the other person got the job offer and he or she has started earning well, but now because of your um, rightful nature of telling everything openly and transparently is holding you back from getting any jobs. So your friend suggests that you have to lie a bit, you have to say things which are maybe unethical. You may have to show that you um, have certain skills which you may not have at the moment, right? But you just have to show and pretend that you are having such skills with you. So so such kind of questions would also be there. Like these questions can be called as transparency-based questions. So this is the fifth type of a question that could be asked, right? And the sixth, issues such as environment and migration. These are also very rare but found. And let's say there are migrations happening in search of jobs, and still people are living in bad conditions. What could be done under certain situations to raise the standards of living of those people? Are we clear with this, guys?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so
Yes, sir.
I'll make you write all these stuffs. First of all, let us understand all these 4 points, major headings, and I've been dealing with all such types of subheadings as well within this, right? So as I've already explained to you, within the nature we have decision making questions, we have reaction based questions, we have harassment based questions, right? And we have corruption based questions, then we have transparency, right? All these I've explained to you, and we have issues related to and environment and migration. Are you clear with this, guys? Yes.
Yes, sir.
Are you clear with this? Yes.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so how many types of questions you will be getting? These are basically 7 types, right? 7 types of questions you will be getting. Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Furthermore, moving further ahead, let's talk about some other stuffs that you will be getting, right? So once you have categorized and understood the type of question it is, now it's time for you to understand the stakeholders involved in these case studies, right? Stakeholders involved in these case studies. Now, who all are or who all can be regarded as the stakeholders of these case studies? There can be the person who is involved directly into it, who may be a victim or maybe a complainant, right? So let's say uh, complainant, right? So he is one of the stakeholders, right? The person who is a victim, a person who is a complainant, a person who is a whistleblower, he is a stakeholder, right? The staff or the officer involved in this would be a stakeholder, or the boss who is involved is the stakeholder. The organization is also a stakeholder. Yes or no?
Yes,
Yes.
sir.
Yes, sir.
Organization or the government department which is taking care of such issues is also a stakeholder, right? Okay.
Yes, sir.
Basically, you are finding out the parties which are playing vital role in a case study. Am I clear with this? Right. So this
Yes.
is how we are analyzing and segregating and separating every part of a case study, right? So then the public, the general public or the civil servant would also be a part of it, right? Not only the department, the public at large, or you can say the public or the civil servant as well would be a stakeholder, and the society at large, right? There can be certain decisions which may um, affect the complete society. Yes, so it is also a huge stakeholder in your case studies, in most of the case studies. Am I clear with this, guys?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Right.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so so once you have understood, let's again go back to the point number one. Once you have understood the nature of the questions, you must find out the stakeholders into the case study. Who all are the stakeholders into the case study, right? Who all are the parties involved into the case study? Who is the victim? Who are the complainants? Which is the organization involved into it? You will find out all those, right? Then the third thing that you are supposed to do, third thing that you're supposed to do is on the basis of a few, on the basis of a few techniques, you will be analyzing the case study. So once you have found out the people involved, the stakeholders involved, you people would be finding out the ways of analyzing, right? So there can be other ways like the SWOT analysis. You do SWOT analysis of a case study. You do pestle analysis of a case study. What are these? I'll explain you over course of time, right? Pestle analysis you will do. You will also do cost benefit analysis. Uh, Now, what kind of questions could be asked for this kind of a technique, right? So where you can apply. Let's say there is a new change which is happening in your department, and there are two, three new technologies which have got their pros and cons, right? So and they have got a different cost involved in their implementation and different outcomes as well. Am I clear with this? So if they have got different outcomes, they have got different pros and cons. On the basis of the pros and cons and the different outcomes, you would be doing the cost and benefit analysis. So what is the cost involved and what are the benefits you are getting out of such implementation of the technology? Let's say a case study can be that you are in charge of a department, you are the head of the department, and the juniors who are elder than you are not well versed with information and technology, but you want that to be implemented in the department because of the government rule, and because and you are facing opposition from the juniors because they are not well versed with this technology being implemented and they are not well versed with working over it. Yes. So how would you go about dealing with such situations? Will you force them? Will you convince them? Will you let them know the benefits of using the technology? How would you handle such situations? Understand, right? This is how the
Yeah.
question be asked. So Relating to this, we will also do the pros and cons analysis as well, right? This is also one of the techniques, pros and cons analysis, right? Next can be value fact analysis, value and fact analysis, right? So there are few factual things that you know, and still there are certain values that you cannot do away with. So how would you balance and have an analysis of a case study on the basis of this? We'll understand, right, over a course of time. So these are the
Yes.
things that um, these are the techniques that you must follow for analyzing a case study, right, guys? I'm going very detailed into it. Understand, this is a very essential. Uh, these are the very essential few minutes at the beginning of our lecture, like half an hour or 45 minutes would be very, very essential, because this would decide how would you write the answers while you read a case study. Once you have understood these 4 points, then I suppose almost half of the battle is won. Yes?
Okay. Yes.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Okay, guys. So after you have found out the way by which you would be analyzing a case study, or there can be multiple ways by which you would be doing. It's not so that you would be only doing SWOT analysis. You can do a mix of all these techniques, right? So you can club SWOT analysis with cost benefits, SWOT analysis with pros and cons with value facts. Everything you can do. It purely depends upon your creativity. Understand, right? So they are not wanting you to not to be creative. They want you to be creative. Yes. Okay. So guys, after we have done all these stuffs, it's time for us to take a final decision in general. Now, the final decision in general should take into account the following things. Are you with me, guys? Okay, Sakshi has
Yes,
a
sir.
question. Sakshi has a question. Yes, please go ahead, Sakshi.
Yes. So for these, the third point which you have explained for the techniques which we can use in our writing.
Mhm.
So I usually get confused, or it's like, should we explain a lot of points? Should we have a lot of points to write in the answer, or stick to few and explain in detail? Like, which one is better for the answer writing?
Uh, in answer writing, actually, it depends
Yeah, for
upon
this case
the
studies, yes.
yeah, it depends upon the case study first of all.
Hmm. Yes.
Whereas if you put number of points, that would be always beneficial,
Hmm.
right? Explaining in detail would not be required. Let's say if I give you a case study, right? So you have been seeing that there have been a decline in the turnout, right, into the elections. So what would you do in your district to increase the number of voters? Right? What would you do to increase the number of voters? If such kind of a question is asked to you, a case study बता देगी आपको. There will be a case study that these are the reasons because of which the voters are not turning out. They are not knowing their representatives, and
Yes.
so on and so forth. All such kind of stuff would be given to you, and ultimately you will be asked that what actions would you take as the returning officer or as a district collector to increase the number of voter turnout for going out for voting, right? So what are the things that you would be doing? So if these kinds of questions are asked, you have got a lot of points to write, a lot of points. Right? So you
Yes.
don't have to explain in details because the
Mm-hmm.
examiner would understand. Creating the awareness of the representatives, right? If you say this, if the single statement explains everything, you don't have to go detail into it. Understand?
Okay.
Yes, right. So it purely depends upon the case study, and what I would say in any case study, if you write the number of points, it would be beneficial always. But those should be categorized always. Those should be categorized. Of how we'll definitely understand on the basis of different case studies and the demand of the question as well. If the question does not demand all such kind of categorization, let's say if the question
Mm-hmm.
asks you that find out the stakeholders involved into it, and what are the ethical issues involved and your steps forward, right? So this question that I've just raised now, listen to me very, very carefully. This question that I just raised now has got three demands. First is finding out the stakeholders of the case study. Second, uh, explaining the ethical issues that you would be facing, right? All the dilemmas, ethical dilemmas, and the ethical issues that you would be facing, right? And third is the actions that you're taking, the steps that you'd be taking to resolve the issue. Am I clear with this?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Right?
sir.
That should be crystal clear, guys. That should be crystal clear. Very, very crystal clear to you. Yes? Okay. So whatever final decisions that you take should be based on a few things, right? Should be based on a few things. First is it should be based on values in civil services, right? Now,
Yes.
understand, you may be having a separate set of values for yourself, but first of all, you should make sure that the values in civil services are met. Whatever things that we have studied in our past few lectures, these are the values in civil services only, right? The second ARC
Yes, sir.
that we discussed the other day, a few points that were discussed on second ARC, those are the things that are implemented into the civil services. So you must make sure that you follow all those. Next is
Yes.
when making decision, you should also uh, take into consideration the public interest, right? It should not do better for a few of the people, and it should not worsen of a lot of people. So it should be for the public interest. Next, it should also be based on right to life and liberty. Understand that right to life and liberty. It should be based on right to life and liberty. कि अगर आपको कुछ क्वेश्चन दे दिया है और ये लाइफ एंड लिबर्टी को आपने बैलेंस नहीं किया, इट कैन नॉट हैपन दैट वे. Yes. next is
Yes.
next is it should be based on theology. मैंने आप लोगों को एक्सप्लेन किया था, राइट? थियोलॉजी मैंने आप लोगों को एक्सप्लेन किया था, सॉरी टेलियोलॉजी एंड डियोंटोलॉजी भी मैंने आप लोगों को एक्सप्लेन किया था, right? While discussing the topics, I have explained you teleology and deontology, right? So I want you people to make sure that these two things are also met. All those who do not recollect what teleology and deontology is, I want you people to go back to our previous slides and have a revision of all those. Yes? Yes, guys?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir. Yes, sir.
Last but not the least, while taking decision, you should always take into consideration the natural law or natural law of justice, right? Natural justice that should come naturally to people, right? So you should take into consideration all these points while writing a case study. Am I clear with this?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Okay, so
Yes.
again a quick revision of what to be done. First, you will find out the nature of the question. Next, you will find out the parties involved into it, the stakeholders into it. Then, third, on the basis of the demand of the question, you will implement the technique to analyze the case study. Yes, yes, merits, demerits.
Yes.
They would ask you for merits and demerits. They would give you four options that could be taken, four decisions that could be taken in this case study. Out of these four, which one will you choose? They will ask you such kind of questions as well. So you have to give just justification. So for that, you will have pros and cons of every decision made, right? So all these stuffs purely depends upon the demand of the question. Once you have understood the demand of the question and you have found out the way by which you will be answering it, final decision should be taken keeping in mind the values of the civil services, public interest, right to life and liberty, teleology, deontology, natural law, and natural justice. Right?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
I want you guys to make note of this brain map. Right? So kind quickly, I'll give you 1 minute or one and a half minute. I want you people to quickly jot down this brain map for writing a case study. Yeah, please go ahead.
Understanding the case studies, we know the most of the case studies that check out the decision analysis, how to apply the ethics, cost benefits, pros and cons, and rights and limits. जो भी फायनली डिसिजन मेकिंग मध्ये येते इन जनरल सिव्हिल इन सिव्हिल सर्व्हिसेस conflict interest, right to life, and liberty technology.
Actually, guys, write this down by yourself, right? Because ethics is all about writing. Unless and until you make this structure in your mind, you won't be able to write the answers appropriately. So this should get fixed in your mind.
Yes, sir.
It's a skeleton, right? It's a skeleton. Done?
Yes, sir.
Everyone?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, great. So guys, once you have understood this, I'll just quickly clear the screen off. Shall I?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So guys, once you have understood this, I will start directly by going to the first case study, right? So write down the case study number one, right? Case study number one. Just quickly write down the case study I'll narrate the case study to you. I'll give you the options. What should be chosen the best out of all these, right? So it is a different kind of a question, right? So write down case study number 1. Case study 1. Suppose Mr. X is very honest. Suppose Mr. X is very honest and upright senior officer and upright senior officer in health department.
Hmm.
Full stop. He has taken some significant initiatives. He has taken some significant initiatives to bring transformation in governance. To bring transformation in governance. Full stop. He has also become a source of inspiration for junior officers. He has also become a source of inspiration for junior officers. One morning, a report is published in media. One morning, a report is published in media in which there is exposure about a scam. There is exposure about a scam in which his name has also cropped up. In which his name has also cropped up. Full stop. There are allegations that he is also directly or indirectly involved in the scam. Directly or indirectly involved in the scam. Full stop. Change the paragraph. After the exposure in the media, comma, environment in the department has changed. The environment in the department has changed. People, full stop, people are not feeling free to communicate. People are not feeling free to communicate. Full stop. Some are in a state of disbelief. Some are in a state of disbelief and shock. Some are in a state of disbelief and shock. Full stop. Change the paragraph. You are the most senior officer of the department. You are the most senior officer of the department. Full stop. 4 junior officers junior officers. Within bracket write down Mr. A, B, C, and D. Mr. A, B, C, and D. Bracket close. Approach you and give following views. Now understand guys, these four options, these four guys have come to you now, and these are giving their views to you, right? Okay. Yes. Okay, write down A. First is, that is A, right? A. Small in bracket. Mr. says, by the time Mr. X is not cleared, Mr. A says, by the time Mr. X's name is not clear, he should go on leave.
Sir, I can hear you properly.
I'll be audible now. So Mr. A says, by the time Mr. X's name is not cleared, by the time Mr. X's name is not cleared, he should go on leave. He should go on leave. B, point B or leave B. Mr. B says, he should be immediately suspended and a departmental inquiry should be ordered. A departmental inquiry should be ordered. Right? C point. Mr. C